Just a second. Okay, you are live.
Thank you, Mark. So to start with, did we gain anybody when we went live?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, and that's probably a combination of, I'm guessing that any citizen that wanted to log in also is getting that error or that notice. And
Actually,
second, yep.
for people to view, they don't get the Zoom link. They just go to the city's boards and commissions YouTube page.
Oh, okay.
And so there should be no one prevented from watching the live stream or the recording.
Okay. Um, that's good to know. Mark, I don't remember, were you managing for the city our last meeting?
To tell you the truth, I don't remember either.
Yeah, so for those of you who were here, it was similar. We had nowhere near a quorum, and so we talked a bit and we waited to see if other people would join. And I recommend it's 7:11 that we give it another 4 minutes. And then I see David DeQuinzio, Hugh, and Zoe, and that's it. And then we're not even close to a quorum. So we'll just have a quick chat and see if there's any pressing items. I know there was some email traffic about the city in particular. Um, and it doesn't look like we're going to have a quorum, and I see that everybody else is both muted with their cameras off. So if anybody does have anything to say, now would be a good time to raise your hand or unmute yourself.
I was just trying to take a look at the agenda to see what was on the agenda for tonight.
Yeah.
I'm finding it. Not that we can discuss it, but I know that
Yeah.
there's a city council meeting tonight. So Alderwoman Rhonda Pindell Charles and Alderman Carmo O'Neill were
Yeah.
able to join, or
Right.
Kwaku, I think. So I think Kurt's out of town. So I didn't see any more emails from folks saying they weren't coming that were on the board, but
Well, neither did I,
we have who we have.
but here we are. So thank you all for those of you who did make it. And the good news is I usually never leave DC before 7:30 and I'm home. So this is very rare for me.
Silver lining.
Yeah, silver lining. So I'm gonna relax a little bit. David, um, Hugh, anybody else?
No, nothing from me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Nothing
unfortunately,
from me.
thank you both. Unfortunately, this was exactly the same situation as our last month's meeting. So we'll just give it a few more minutes and then call it. Hugh, as long as you're here, do you mind if I ask? Because I know we disagreed about the State Highway Administration's recommendations for the counterflow across the Naval Academy Bridge. Is there any more movement on that?
Zoe actually probably has a better update than I do.
Okay.
I think where we stands today is there's two designs left, and this fall they will pick one of those designs. One of them doesn't have the bridge involved at all, and
Wow.
the other still has.
It does, Hugh. It's just that they're using the existing bike lanes on the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's why it's a little bit inaccurate to say it doesn't involve the bridge, because they were tying the project in with the existing bike lane on the bridge.
okay.
That's why it doesn't have that's why the other alternative is more of such an addition, because it would augment the bridge itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we are waiting. The latest timeline that I've received is what I shared with you, Hugh. I haven't heard anything else. It's slow going a little bit. They're in the design phase. They had to kind of regroup and do the two alternatives they'll be taking out to at least 30% design with a hydraulic and hydrology and hydraulics analysis for stormwater, because the stormwater component can kind of add quite a bit to sort of the laydown area, to have an understanding of, how the configuration and the engineering of the project, and some topography issues there.
Zoe, would you mind saying the last 20 seconds again? My computer finally connected and I missed the mid bit, and I apologize.
Oh, so we're talking about where State Highway is in their analysis. So the project, I was clarifying for Hugh that the project, there are two alternatives. They tie into well, I'm thinking, I want to make sure I'm saying this right. The project's the way it was envisioned originally is that the Naval Academy Bridge was not included in the scope but then the alternative that they were analyzing would, because it would tie into the existing bike lanes on the bridge. So we're waiting for, and similar on the College Creek Bridge, they wouldn't be adjusting anything on the College Creek Bridge, but they would be designating a bike lane over that bridge. But they are carrying in their scope, the state highway was changing consultants to do the design. And so the contract for the previous consultant expired, and then I think they believe they went with Mead and Hunt, who has been doing some work for the city already. So they had to regroup, so they lost a little bit of time bringing on a new consultant. But they will be, that consultant under their contract is to take 2 designs to 30% and to complete the hydrology and hydraulics analysis. And one of the aspects, the reason that's important is because of the stormwater. Understanding, sheet flow and stormwater and how water is going to impact the bike lane and existing, how the bike lane alternatives could impact existing stormwater inlets on the state highway. And then ultimately this fall, so at the end of the summer, once they're completed with the 2 designs out to 30% plus the hydraulic, the H&H analysis, they will present those for comment. And then based on the work group, but also the Navy, given that, it's on Navy land, the majority of it's on Navy land, would make a recommendation on which of the 2 alternatives they want, that they would support in terms of moving forward to 100%.
That's great news. And I'm glad to hear that keeping the existing bike packs is still on the table, because as a very frequent user of that bridge and the trail, I think it's, for me, I think it's a better plan and safer. And I would offer as evidence of that at that Bolter's Way, where there's that little parking lot.
Where is that, on the other side of the bridge?
Yeah, on the other side of the bridge, up by the head of the trail, specifically the B&A trail. There's the parking lot that's really only accessible from 50, and then cyclists and pedestrians who use that parking lot, there's no really good way to return, because you have to go counterflow against that traffic just to get into the parking lot. And to me, it's the most dangerous part of a ride or a walk from that parking lot is getting in and out of the parking lot. And I think that we would have a similar situation on the bridge. So I'm glad that.
Yeah, I think what Hugh, and correct me if I'm wrong, the city resolution was to encourage them to look at a protected bike lane, incorporate a protected bike lane into which that's where there was some question on the underlying integrity of the bridge infrastructure wise, whether it could support an additional load on one side, or what would be the options if they tried to remove the existing sidewalk and expand it to 10 feet.
Yeah.
So from the Navy's perspective, where we would want to support what works best and what's safe, we also have to take into consideration, we just don't know yet what sort of infrastructure or right-of-way impacts in terms of our existing infrastructure would maybe need to be relocated to based on which of those routes and how they could accommodate that.
Right.
And we also don't want to see the project, them to forego the project to add additional cost. If the cost is too insurmountable, they may not be proceed with the project. So there's a lot to still figure out, but I think I'm hopeful that, once we get those 30% designs, we'll have a much better understanding and an analysis of the bridge.
Yeah, no, that's positive.
The Naval Academy, however, we're also really advocating with the county, who then would advocate for the state, a request from the state, some prioritization of the segment of roadway that I think it's 648, where on the other side of the Naval Academy Ridge, where it drops down by the Severn Inn and then goes up around, where it's so dangerous there.
Yeah.
We have been Admiral Buck from the Naval Academy submitted a letter to the county encouraging them to and all of the there was a ride bike roll plan, I think it was called, put in a lot of comments for encouraging the county to look at that segment of roadway because we feel it's unsafe. And we're now encouraging midshipmen to go through the neighborhood on the other side and not run that curve. And not bike that curve just because it's so dangerous.
How far back did the Navy want, or I guess what were they advocating for right there? Are they advocating for like?
We're just encouraging the county to, I think we're encouraging the county to prioritize that area for bike pedestrian safety. And we don't have an alternative. So oftentimes,
how far back they wanted to go to? Like from the bridge, like all the way to.
Well, ultimately, we'd like to see it go all the way up to Greenberry Point.
Yeah.
But anything,
it's better than
you have to sort of. I like to say you can't create the bike path around the world at once. You have to sort of like do it in segments and planning and I mean, so and you can incrementally do the planning. So you don't want to prevent a option, say prevent one side of the project, prevent an alternative on the other that makes more sense. But the problem for us is that that's outside of the Navy's jurisdiction, as is the bridge. And same with what's nice about the segment that they've been working on right now, it's all within one land holding for the Navy. And so they can, because the way I understand it is you have to purchase right away. They have to obtain right away.
Yeah.
So if you have too many landowners in certain segments, it makes the real estate tail of these projects very long and very complicated. And the Navy is complicated enough to obtain right away. So at least that project we could work through it with the Navy real estate. And then not, because on the other side of the bridge, you're dealing with all of those individual landowners on that curve, as well as, say, the highway in front of from Taylor to the stadium. You're dealing with some private properties, the Grouse parking lot, this 7-Eleven, all of those. It's hard once these projects when they need to obtain additional road right away. It makes them much more complicated.
Yeah.
And the amount of existing infrastructure and the underlying easements, such as all the BG, and other telecommunication easements.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to invoke my role as the chair pro temp, I guess is the title. And we don't have a quorum, and I thank you and Mark also for this very short meeting. And hopefully next month we'll have a quorum, or even somewhere close to a quorum, that we could actually try to host a meeting. But
we usually take the month of August off, so
yeah.
So we'll hope we'll have a meeting in July.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then by then, I probably will have an update on the latest plan for the bike.
That would be great.
Yeah, because I know it's all interest to you.
So I'll send out an email identifying the roll call, nothing else. And I do hope to see everybody in July. So
thank you for hosting, Mark.
And Mark, thank you. I saw that you sent out an email, so hopefully we will have more participation in the next one.
I didn't send it out to the entire board. So if you all want to forward that to any of the other board members if they're having problems, but looks like you also have an attendance issue going on too. So
well, it's hard to tell if they're related though, right?
Yeah, right.
It is a beautiful day in the early summer, so there's that.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.